Hey, what's up guys, it is I'm Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. First and foremost, I want to say sorry about the swelling. I had an infection and I'm currently using antibiotics to get rid of it. But on today's video, what I wanted to talk about is some little bit of Street Fighter 6 news that we got. So in Japan, they did this little test, I guess you would say, which I'll show the trailer while I'm talking about it, and we'll currently cut it out and talk about different aspects of it. But there's this new dynamic mode that they're adding to arcade and offline versus. It's not applicable to online, and I guess that's a good thing. Well, it's definitely a good thing, especially for competitive players. But what this mode does, as I can understand it completely, is that when you are away from opponent or close to opponent and you're tapping one of the attack buttons, they'll all do different things, and it's sort of like an auto combo, but it's not exactly an auto combo, so it'll do different stuff depending on it. And what it's basically there for is if you're having like a match with friends or like a casual and you're not exactly like super good with the mechanics of the game, then you're literally going to just like tap buttons and do these kind of crazy combos. This is a similar entry-level situation that I've seen when it comes to games like Soul Calibur and even Tekken at points, like putting in ultimates and stuff like that and auto combos, like you would see in something like Killer Instinct, for example. These modes are there to get new players invigorated into the game and invested, because if you're going over a friend's house, let's say, and that friend's had every single iteration of Mortal Kombat, right? You're probably going to lose if you go up against them, unless like you have a lot of different contingencies going on, which is what me and my friends usually do. For example, for playing Naruto Storm 4, will be like you can only be people from like the village hidden in the sand, or you can only be Kage and things like that, or choosing from different pages. There's a lot of like contingencies you can come up with to make the game fun for yourself, especially with people you play with a lot, just so you can get some different aspects of the gameplay. Now this little test or demo is actually a really good thing, and I want to talk about it. So the mechanics aside, this is obviously not going to be a mode for me or somebody that is affiliated with like the Street Fighter franchise in general, but a lot of people have trouble with the quarter circle forward motion when it comes to doing attacks with certain characters, and you can't even necessarily try to do that with all the characters in Street Fighter. Like a lot of the Shoto characters, sure, if you're doing like Hadouken or Tatsumaki Senbutya or Shoryuken or something like akin to that, you're going to be getting the same results with different Shoto characters. But when it comes to other characters, they have different move sets, so instead of just trying to like constantly tap R1 and like roll the analog stick or use the directional pad, this way it gives like newcomers a way to get familiarized with having fun with the game without having to like go crazy ham on every character. Because a lot of people, this is going to be their first game. It's a new console generation, it's got a lot of people excited, there's a lot of new fighting games that are coming, and this is one aspect where the good part, even though I'm not using it, doesn't have to do with me. So the reason that I like this is it shows that the new generation of fighting games have a commitment to single player as well as esports. And this is something that I've been advocating for a long time, because I think that like esports does play a really valuable part of the marketing for different games, and it does get more games more attention and out there, especially if they're in popular tournaments such as EVO and things like that. But when it comes to the casual player, the vast majority of them don't watch those gaming streams, and if they do just want to play, they don't usually ever even touch online. Now, a lot of people like that are in the FGC or that like would consider themselves aficionados, the first thing that we do when we get a new game is lab it, right? We'll go into the lab, or we'll go into the training mode, and we'll try to like look at the frames, we'll try to look at like all the data that the game presents us with to be better at the game. But a lot of people just want to button mash, and this is good for button mashers, because a lot of times when you go into a match with a button masher, offline I'm talking about specifically, like you'll still end up like winning, because they don't know the difference between like low guard, mid guard, high guard. They don't know about parries, they don't know about like sidestepping, perfect defenses. There's a lot that goes involved, and if you're playing against an experienced player, it could be a really daunting task. Like there's people that I know that will literally, if they lose a couple matches, will just like want to play something else because they don't feel like they're having fun. For me, part of the fighting games is like learning them. Like every different game has their own nuances. Like no two games are alike, even in the same series. So even though Street Fighter has like used similar movesets since like the original games, this is really good for like a kind of like party style, hanging out with your friends, just having fun, and you don't have to turn it on for both players. So like one person who may have never played Street Fighter before can use a dynamic mode, and then you could use like the classic mode. So you're still doing your traditional inputs to try and get the opponent's health down, which such is what fighting games are. And they actually feel like they're involved, they're doing combos. You can actually see in the video that when using dynamic mode, he won against one of the other developers, which was, he like held his head in shame, funnily, like he was doing it as a joke. But there was another match after that, which I cut off because like it's just more of the same. But it was like really fun to watch, which is what I think they're trying to bring to the table. And the reason why I'm excited about them focusing so high on single player is because a lot of games that have come out recently, especially Street Fighter, like 4 and 5, when they come out with their first iteration vanilla versions of their games day one, they're very, very bare. We're talking like maybe you have arcade mode and a handful of characters, and like online's like not even really there yet. You know what I mean? There's like not really much to do. There's no trading modes, no frames, like none of that. It's been Capcom with Street Fighter is especially guilty of this. They like release kind of a half-assed game to appease tournaments and esports, and then like they'll add stuff later and oftentimes charge for it. To see that with Street Fighter 6 we're getting create a character and a whole other story mode involving your created characters, and the online hub for more like player communication, and this new dynamic offline mode. Like these are just little nuances and instances where it looks like they're actually pointing towards the future of merging single player with online to try and see if there's a way that I can find a happy medium. Because I've said before in multiple videos, people buy games for different reasons. Some people may like the characters, some people just like may like the cinematics or the fights. This is the same similar reason why they put supers in, and reversal edge for Soul Calibur 6, even though that didn't turn out, though most of us didn't like it as much as it is, but it is very good for newcomers. For example, my brother, he just got a PS5, and I played Soul Calibur 6 with him, and he hasn't played Soul Calibur since like, I don't know, it's been like at least like a couple of years, because the last console that he had was an Xbox One X. So he went with the PS5 this time, and he purchased Soul Calibur 6 because he knows that I like the game. And when playing the game, he literally did like reversal edge like 8 times in a match, like basically, because he's like button mashing. So this is a way also for me to not be as annoyed playing with a new player, because when you know the spammy attacks or you know what they're doing with button mashing, it's a lot more engaging and fun knowing it. You don't know what's going to come next. There's a kind of a mystery to it, and something that has to keep you on your toes as well. And like I said, this doesn't have to change like your actual specific gameplay. This will just change the way newcomers have the option of coming to the game. And player choice is a big, huge thing whenever it comes to any game. Like you always want to give the players their way to play the game, that no two play styles are going to be similar or the same. That way, like they can feel like it's theirs and their own, and like use that as like a jumping off point into different games instead of discouraging them, because that's what oftentimes happens. They'll see these high level esports players like doing infinite combos and infinite juggles and like 50% and 80%. I know a lot of people who like love the Dragon Ball IP, but like they just can't play fighters. They just don't grasp the tag in, tag out Marvel vs. Capcom system fused with like the quarter circle forward, like Street Fighter Capcom system. And a lot of people fell off the game and went back to playing like Xenoverse 2. And that's all well and good, but Xenoverse 2 is not exactly like a fun fighting game. You know what I mean? It's more of an overall like action adventure RPG that includes a lot of co-op. But Fighters was a solid fighting game, and a lot of people dropped it because they were just like, I love the IP, but I can't do anything. Every time I try to play somebody, I'm just getting annihilated no matter which character I pick. So this is a good balancing act, and I would like to see more of this from other companies in the future. Let's hope that when we see more from Tekken 8, we'll see a lot more single player stuff added in, because I know Tekken 8 like really annoyed me. Tekken 7 annoyed me a lot when they got rid of their like Tekken Force-esque mode that they've had in every game since 3. And probably the most annoying thing was having Tekken Bowling tacked on for $15 and then not even allowing for online play for that. Like, you literally only can do couch co-op for that game. That's still baffles me to this day. I just got done from visiting my brother in another state, and we were playing Tekken Bowling constantly, and then as soon as I came back home, it's like, now it's no longer an option. So I hope to see that changed in the future, and some things like go more towards a halfway point. I'm not saying exclude the FGC and the esports crowd and the online players. Definitely don't do that, because they help the game a lot to thrive. What I do want to see, though, is more of a merger of the two ideas, so that both have like a way to experience the game in which they want to play. But now I'm going to turn the question over to you guys. I want you to let me know in the comment section down below, or on Discord, or anywhere else where you usually message me. Do you like the implementation of this dynamic mode to be only offline? Because I know that like things with like character creation, some people have said there should be no character creation in ranked. It should be a separate mode, which I actually agree with because it affects the hitboxes. Like, we're especially talking like Astaroth characters and stuff like that. But do you want to see more of this merging of single player modes combined with online modes, and like neither being left behind and both going forward, so that everyone has something kind of to play and these modes expanded on? Any and all thoughts are always welcome anywhere that you can message me on. And with that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to a close, and as I always say, I love it, thank you,
and thank you.